the Hindu current affairs for beginners. Let's start our today's session. Before starting the session, first let us see answers for the questions from our previous video. Recently, Mueller report is seen in news. It is related to the affairs of US and Russia. This Mueller report is regarding whether if there is any interference of Russian government in US 2016 presidential election. So the answer here is C, US and Russia. The next question is, Reporters Without Borders is a non-profit organization to combat attacks on journalists. So the answer here is B. And it is this non-profit organization which releases World Press Freedom Index. And in this World Press Freedom Index, India is ranked in 148th position out of 180 countries. Now let's start today's session, and these are all the topics that we are going to cover in detail in our today's video. Our first article is US ends waiver for India on Iran oil. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations. Here, May 2nd is the last date for India, China, Japan, South Korea and Turkey, Italy, Greece and Taiwan to import oil from Iran. From May 2nd onwards, these countries will be subjected to sanctions by United States if they import oil from Iran. So now, from the prelims point of view, from this article we are going to see about three things. One is, what is this significant reduction exceptions that is mentioned in this article, significant reduction exceptions and joint comprehensive plan of action, and what is this OPEC. Now let's see in detail about these three. First thing is significant reduction exceptions. In November 2018, the United States has granted exemptions from its sanctions for importing oil from Iran for a 180-day period for India and 7 other countries. Before knowing about this, first we should know why there were sanctions, according to which law. We have seen about a law known as US federal law known as CATSA, Countering American Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. It is a federal law of United States of America to impose sanctions on the countries whoever will have a military and defense deal with two countries. One is Russia and the other thing is Iran. So, if any country is having any trade relations with these two countries, military and defense trade relations with these countries, then America will impose sanctions on that country. But in 2018 of November, US has granted exemptions to 8 countries, including India, to import oil from Iran till May 2nd of 2018. These exemptions are known as this significant reduction exceptions to the importers of Iranian oil. Now, the next thing is, what is this joint comprehensive plan of action? This is commonly known as Iran deal. It is also known as Iran deal, and this was signed between Iran and P5 countries, that is the permanent 5 countries, Germany plus European Union in 2015. Who are these permanent 5 countries? US, UK, China, France and Russia. So it is signed between Iran, P5 countries, Germany, European Union in 2015 with an aim to curb Iran's nuclear program. To curb the Iran's nuclear program, this deal was signed. Then according to this deal, most of the Iran's enriched uranium has to be shipped out of the country. It has to be shipped out of the country, that is Iran, and a heavy water facility should be made inoperable, and operational nuclear facilities should be brought under international inspection. The operational nuclear facilities will be under international inspection according to this Iran deal. In return, if Iran accepts to this, what will happen in return is the sanctions that were imposed on Iran will be lifted according to this deal. The next thing is OPEC. OPEC stands for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. This is founded in 1960 in Baghdad, and it is headquartered in Vienna of Austria. This is the headquarters of this Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and this organization at present it has 14 member countries as its members. They are Algeria, Angola, Congo, Ecuador, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia. Who is the leader of this organization? United Arab Emirates and Venezuela. These are the 14 member countries of this organization, and this organization, it functions on the principle of unanimity. That is, each member will have one vote. One member, one vote. What does this OPEC do? This will set production target, how much oil has to be produced for its member nations. And when these production targets were reduced, that means oil supply will be reduced, so that oil prices will increase. Here you can see the member countries of this OPEC: Iraq, Libya, Algeria, Venezuela, Ecuador, Nigeria, Gabon, Angola, Iran, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. Qatar is no longer a member of this OPEC. The next article is CJI. The Chief Justice of India violated procedure by hearing own case, says the Supreme Court lawyers. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of judiciary. Here, the Chief Justice of India was part of a bench that dealt with sexual harassment charges that were levelled against the Chief Justice of India by a former Supreme Court employee. So, from the prelims point of view, from this article, there is a term known as suo motu. What it is saying is, suo motu, he heard a case involving sexual harassment allegations against him. So now let us see what is meant by this term suo motu. This term will be used to an action taken by an authority on its own will. See, now let us take the judiciary. That means the courts will usually take action once a case is brought before the court by a party. For example, Mr. A files a case against a hospital that they did not admit a case of accident due to which the patient has died. Now, Mr. A took this issue to the court and the court will hear it. But if suppose the court has come to know about a news report where a hospital is exposed for its illegal practice of not admitting emergency patient, then the court itself can take action on its own and call for management of the hospital to answer why they are doing so. This is an example of suo motu. The court, they heard it from a news report and they themselves can take action on its own. So the court will usually take this suo motu action in case of when there is a gross negligence on part of public authorities and government. The next article is staff entitled to information on a defunct company. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance. It comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance. Here the Central Information Commission has said that the staff can seek financial and regulatory information of a company which is almost insolvent from the income tax department according to the Right to Information Act of 2005. Now, from the prelims point of view, let us see about this organization known as Central Information Commission. The Central Information Commission is a statutory body that was set up under this Right to Information Act of 2005, and it is a quasi-judicial body. It is a 11-member commission and it is the highest appeal body. This has to be remembered. This is the highest appeal body to the applicants who are seeking information under the Right to Information Act. Then how these members are appointed? The CIC, the Chief Information Commissioner, and the members will be appointed by the President of India based on the recommendations of a select committee. That committee consists of Prime Minister as the chairperson and the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha and the Union Cabinet Minister as nominated by the Prime Minister. Based on their recommendation, the select committee's recommendation, the President will appoint this Chief Information Commissioner as well as other members. The next article is Down to Earth on ASAT Test. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of Science and Technology. On March 27th, India has carried out a successful test of an anti-satellite weapon launching an interceptor missile from Balasore range in Odisha to hit a live satellite which is Microsat R. That is, this is an active satellite orbiting in the lower Earth orbit. By doing so, India became the fourth country in the world to develop an anti-satellite test capability. Now, from the prelims point of view, from this article, we are going to see about 4 things. One is, what is this anti-satellite test, and what is this EMISAT, and what is Chandrayaan, and what is Mangalyaan. First thing, let us see about this anti-satellite test. This anti-satellite test is the technological capability. It is a technical capability to hit and destroy satellites, active satellite in a space using a missile that is launched from ground. So now a missile is launched from ground to hit Microsat R, a communication satellite which is orbiting in the lower Earth orbit. The first anti-satellite test was carried out by the US military in 1959. Later it was followed by USSR and China. So even this could be a possible question, which among the following countries had this capability of anti-satellite test mechanism. So they are US, USSR, it is Russia, China and now India. Why this technology is used? In order to destroy, if necessary, the satellites that were owned by the enemy countries. for military purposes, because nowadays these satellites were having crucial applications. We are having satellite based applications like navigation system, communication networks, banking systems, weather forecasting, disaster management, and military applications. So these satellites are extremely critical infrastructure of any country. If these satellites were destroyed, then these applications will become useless and will cripple the enemy infrastructure without causing any threat to human lives. And one more thing here is, what is meant by this low Earth orbit? It is an orbit around the Earth with an altitude above the Earth's surface from 160 kilometers to 2000 kilometers. That is known as the low Earth orbit. Now let's see about this EMISAT. This is an advanced electronic intelligence satellite that is jointly developed by ISRO and Defense Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO. What is this? This is an advanced electronic intelligence satellite, and this satellite is intended for to electromagnetic spectrum measurement, to measure the electromagnetic spectrum, and this is the first of its kind in India. It is launched by the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle C-45, and it is released into an orbit at 749 kilometers. What are the special features of this launch? First time ISRO has placed satellites and payloads in 3 different orbits. This is the first time ISRO has done this, and it is also the first time ISRO has invited common people to view the launch. And in this PSLV C-45 mission, the last stage of the rocket, that is PS4, will be used as an orbital platform for the satellite. For the first time, ISRO used a multiple burn technology. A multiple burn technology where the engine shut down and will get restarted multiple times within a short period of time by allowing the rocket to course to the next orbit with the payloads. And this will host 3 payloads. This is very important. What are these 3 payloads and what are they for? One is automatic identification system from ISRO, and the other payload is automatic packet repeating system from AMSAT, that is Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation, and the third payload is advanced retarding potential analyzer for ionosphere studies. This is from Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. This automatic identification system developed by ISRO is for maritime applications, whereas this automatic packet repeating system developed by AMSAT is to assist amateur radio operator, and this advanced retarding potential analyzer for ionospheric studies is for atmospheric studies. And the next thing is Chandrayaan. This Chandrayaan was India's first mission to moon that was launched by Indian Space Research Organization. The aim of this mission was to study the lunar surface by orbiting the moon at a height of 100 kilometers from the moon's surface. And the next thing is Mars Orbiter Mission. Mars Orbiter Mission is also called as Mangalyaan. This is a spacecraft. Mangalyaan is a spacecraft that orbits Mars. It is orbiting Mars since 24th September of 2014, and this was also launched by ISRO, and it is the India's first interplanetary mission, and ISRO became the fourth space agency to reach Mars after Russia, NASA and European Space Agency, and it is the first Asian nation to reach Mars orbit and the first nation to do so in its first attempt. Why it is doing so? This Mars exploration will help us to find out answers for the fundamental questions about our place in the universe and history of our solar system. That means Mars goes through seasons just like Earth. Mars also has 24-hour day, and the rotational period and seasonal cycles of Mars are similar to that of Earth. So it will help us to find out the answers for the fundamental questions. The next article is line of caution. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance. According to this article, suspension of cross line of control trade will cause hardships and this must be revoked. So now from the prelims point of view, from this article, now let us see this Udhampur to Baramulla National Highway, which is National Highway 1A, and let us see about article 370 that is mentioned in this article. Here you can see the Udhampur to Baramulla Highway, where the Jammu and Kashmir state has imposed civilian traffic, ban on civilian traffic along this Udhampur to Baramulla National Highway. So here we should know about this National Highway 1A, which runs for 370 kilometers. This is Jammu, Srinagar and Uri National Highway, and this national highway will connect Kashmir to the outside world, and it is the key highway that connects Srinagar with the southern and northern districts of the valley. Here this Udhampur to Baramulla stretch is a 270 kilometer stretch of this National Highway 1A, which is 370 kilometer long. And the next thing that is mentioned in this article is Article 370, which is a temporary provision that grants special autonomous status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir under Part 21 of the Indian Constitution. According to this article, except for defense, foreign affairs, finance and communications, the Indian Parliament needs the state government's concurrence for applying all other laws except in the areas of defense, foreign affairs, finance and communications. And the jurisdiction of Parliament of India in relations to Jammu and Kashmir is confined only to the matters that were there in the union list and also in the concurrent list, and there is no state list for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Centre has no power to declare financial emergency under Article 360 in Jammu and Kashmir, and Indian Parliament cannot increase or reduce the borders of the state. Indian citizens from other states cannot purchase land or property in Jammu and Kashmir. And this Part 4, that is Directive Principles of State Policy, and Part 4A that deals with fundamental duties of the Constitution were not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. The powers to make laws related to preventive detention in Jammu and Kashmir also belongs to the legislature of Jammu and Kashmir but not to the Indian Parliament. So here the residents of Jammu and Kashmir, they will have a separate set of laws compared to the other Indians according to Article 370. The next article is Interpol sending team to probe attacks. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations. Here, post these deadly suicide bomb blasts that killed nearly 300 people, Interpol is deploying a team to help the local authorities in Sri Lanka. Now, from the prelims point of view, let us see about this Interpol. What is this Interpol? Interpol is the world's largest international police organization with 184 member countries. It is the world's largest international police organization. This is established in 1923 in order to enable cross-border police cooperation and support and assist all other organizations, authorities, and render services in order to prevent and combat international crime. The main objective of this Interpol is to facilitate international police cooperation, even where there are no diplomatic relations between certain countries. The next article is RBI may have 3 lakh crore excess capital. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. In a report that is released by Bank of America Merrill Lynch, the RBI can hold reserves up to 3 lakh crore or 1.5% of our Indian GDP. So now, from the prelims point of view, from this article, now we are going to see about two things. One is what is meant by this contingency reserves and what is meant by economic capital framework. What is this Bimal Jalan committee related to? Now, first let us see about this contingency reserves. The Central Bank of India will have a fund with itself in order to meet any financial contingencies, like any financial emergencies like global financial crisis and liquidity situations. To meet those needs, the Reserve Bank of India will maintain a contingency fund known as contingency reserve to manage its contingencies. So these are the ready funds available with RBI to manage its own business. Then how much reserves the RBI can have as a contingency reserve? That will be decided by a framework known as economic capital framework. This framework will decide what is the right volume of contingency reserve for the Reserve Bank of India. In order to determine the right volume of contingency reserve for RBI, this committee known as Bimal Jalan committee was set up, and this committee is going to submit its report. Now, the next article is Earth Day. Saving the planet may cost $100 billion per year. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of environment. On the eve of Earth Day, that is celebrated on April 22nd, the scientists across the world, they came up with a new policy proposal. That proposal is a global deal for nature. A global deal for nature in order to prevent another mass extinction event. So now, from the prelims point of view, let us see about this Earth Day. What is this Earth Day? This is an annual event that will be organized to show support for the environmental protection across the world on April 22nd every year. And this was founded by American Senator Nelson for providing environmental education. And the theme of this year's Earth Day is Protect Our Species. Through this theme, the Earth Day, it is urging people to educate and raise awareness about the increasing rate of extinction of millions of species and its causes and consequences. And the next article is Scientists use European Union satellite to spot Aegean Sea litter. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science and technology and also under environment. The scientist has used European Union satellite in order to find out the maritime litter of plastic bags in the Aegean Sea. From the prelims point of view, what is important for us here is what is the location of Aegean Sea. Here you can see the location of this Aegean Sea. It is located between the mainlands of Greece and Turkey. In the north, the Aegean is connected to the Marmara Sea and Black Sea by the Dardanelles and Bosphorus Straits, and this Aegean Sea is the elongation of this Mediterranean Sea. Now let's see a practice prelims question. Bimal Jalan committee is related to which among the following? Economic capital framework of RBI, priority sector lending, investigating mob lynchings and financial sector reforms. Try to answer this question, and in tomorrow's video we'll see the answer for this question. Thank you.